all on capacity building. You can see some few people are here. The chair for working group on CARLIGH training is also CARLIGH training working group is here. Dr. Osego for the vice president, the vice chair for work, the management, CARLIGH management is also here. Nina is also here. This morning we are privileged to have EIFL hosting this webinar, and the one taking us through is a very seasoned librarian, and she's in the university librarian for Lesotho. The first time I met this lady was at a conference where she made a statement, and as she started talking, the whole place was quiet. A big conference, and the whole place was quiet, and you could see that people were listening to her and saw the impact that she made in some of her statements at various conferences that I attended, and Bash is also there. So this morning we are here to listen to Dr. Buhle Mbambo-Thata. So I don't want to waste much time, just want to invite her. But before that, I don't know whether Irina has something to say before she start talking. Thank you.
No, just say thank you for joining us, and welcome everyone. And over to you, Buhle. And I was writing that this is how it goes every time when I hear you speaking. It's always thought-provoking. Thank you so much for spending this hour with us.
Thank you. Thank you very much, colleagues, for your kind words of welcome. I am curious, Richard, as to what I said. Sometimes I don't remember what I say, and I trust that it was sensible. But thank you very much for the kind words of welcome. And thank you, colleagues, for joining us today. I hope that we will spend a fruitful time together. CARLIGH is very dear to my heart, and colleagues may not remember, but I was a facilitator of the creation of CARLIGH many, many years ago. And look at how far CARLIGH has come. I was also a facilitator of LELICO, our own consortium here back in 2005. It's a long time ago. And our LELICO is growing. It's exciting to see just how far libraries have come. And I've known Richard for many, many years, and look at how far he has come, and many colleagues in Ghana. So it's delightful to meet with you today and to talk about a subject that is very dear to my heart, the subject of mentoring, and as something that I have benefited from over the years in being mentored by one person, but I also attach myself in informal mentorings when I get into situations where I need to be boosted and to be helped. So let me also say up front that I've got a lot of slides, but I will not go through all of them, and because I am going to share the slides with you. And so they are detailed slides, they are long, but you can read them like a book, as it were, after the session. So we'll leave the slides with you. So thank you very much for having me, and I think we'll have a Q&A at the end. The presentation is largely adapted from the work we do with one organization called Organizational Life in Botswana. And we do a number of trainings, but this one we use for mentoring, and I've adapted it for CARLIGH today. But it's important and ethical to acknowledge. I beg your pardon, I'm going to close my windows. There is grass cutting outside. Apologize, and they had to come here today. So this is the outline of my presentation. I will talk briefly about what is mentoring, and then about what is a mentor, what are the qualities of a mentor, what is a mentee, and what is expected of a mentee. And then I will talk briefly about mentoring and coaching and compare them and highlight the overlaps. And then talk about what are the useful characteristics of a mentor that would make the process of mentoring a good success. Talk about the roles. And then, because it's important to me, I've jumped a number of steps, but I'm going to talk about giving and receiving feedback, because it's a critical component of mentoring. And then in closing, talk about the do's and don'ts in a mentoring relationship. I am hoping that maybe at a later date, should you want to do to engage in training for mentorship, that we could perhaps revisit some of the things I'm going to say and say them in detail. So what I'm giving you today is really going to be short. This is a short training on a 2 or 3 day training, and I'm giving it to you in about 40 minutes. So it's going to be very, very short. And I hope that if you do desire training in mentorship, we can then go back to it at a later date. So what is mentoring? Mentoring is a term that is used loosely. I'm looking for a mentor, or find a mentor, or you'll be mentored. And what is mentoring? And there are a number of quotations that I will leave with you. But in short, mentoring is focused on personal development and empowerment for the mentee. Mentoring, if you remember nothing else out of this presentation, is that mentoring is about the mentee, that the mentee is personally developed and that the mentee is empowered to be a seasoned or a good professional or to achieve their goals. It is a way of helping people to progress through their careers. Mentoring is about the mentee progressing through their career. But mentoring takes 2 people. It is a partnership between 2 people, the mentee and the mentor. And usually, these people work in a similar field, usually in a similar profession, but sometimes even in the same organization. But it's a relationship between 2 people, focused on the mentee being empowered and developed. So the Oxford School of Mentoring says this about mentoring, that it is to support and encourage people to manage their own learning. And if I may underline anything there, I'll underline own learning, that the mentee manages their own learning in order that they may maximize their potential, develop their skills, improve their performance, and become the person they want to be. That's what the Oxford School of Mentoring says is mentoring. The Center for Women and Information Technology, and you'll see in the paper, I quote from it quite a bit. And it's really one that I resonate with quite a bit, because it's an organization that I also do a lot of work with, because that's also my research area. Mentoring is a helpful relationship based on mutual trust and mutual respect. These are very, very, very key components, that the mentoring relationship between the mentor and the mentee is undergirded by mutual trust and mutual respect. Mentoring inherently involves personal change and growth in the mentee. So further, the Center for Women and Information Technology says it is a developmental, caring, sharing, and helping relationship in which the mentor invests time, know-how, and effort in enhancing the mentee's personal growth, knowledge, and skills, and responds to the critical needs of the mentee in such a way that the person in which is being mentored is prepared for greater productivity and achievement of the future. These, what is sometimes called soft skills, are critical for the success of a mentoring process. The caring, the sharing, the holding by hand, the walking with of the mentee is critical for the success of the mentorship program. So University of California says mentoring is a process where a mentor and mentee work together to discover and develop the mentee's abilities. So in this first part, if we take nothing else away from what is mentoring, it is that mentoring is about the mentee, about the growth and the development of the mentee. And so whatever else we do in the mentoring process, success we are focused on is that of the mentee. It is about the mentee. So I went ahead of myself a little bit to say that mentoring, in short, should be empathetic from the mentor, and it guides the mentee and helps them to develop and helps them to examine their ideas and help them in their personal and professional development. It is about the mentee. So what is a mentor? And a little bit later on, I'll talk about what is a mentor. I mean, what is a mentee? So a mentor is someone who's been there and done that before. We know the expression. Somebody who's walked their path through this forest and they can navigate the journey through the forest. And they can lead you through the forest of professional development so that you don't wander, waste time, get lost, and get discouraged. It's someone who's been there and done that. It is an individual with expertise, so much expertise that they are willing to share from it, and they are comfortable to share and help the careers of others. A mentor is someone who guides, trains, advises, and promotes the career development of the mentee. As an expert, if you have not gotten to a place where you can pour some of yourself out to others, you are not ready to be a mentor. You can be an expert, but until you've reached a place where you are ready to take somebody else's hand and say, let's walk this way through this forest, you are not ready to be a mentor. So more about what is a mentor. A mentor is a guide who can help the mentee to find the right direction, who can help them to find solutions in career issues. A mentor relies on having had similar experiences and can therefore empathize. A mentor tears from the pages of their own life in order to share their experience with a mentee. And because of that, a mentor can be empathetic. A mentor has written many papers and can work with you to develop your own papers for publication if you're looking to strengthen that part. If somebody has never published, they cannot mentor you in publishing. If somebody has never spoken in public, they cannot mentor you in public speaking. The critical component is that the person needs to have walked that path and can therefore share with you from their experiences. Again, the Center for Women in Information Technology said, a mentor is a person looked upon for wise advice and guidance. And you can't guide people on where you haven't been. So a mentor tears from the pages of their life. What is a mentee? Some call a mentee a protege, a person who is being guided, a person who's being helped, especially in the furtherance of their career, by another more influential, more experienced guide who's walked the path before. Sometimes some call a mentee a disciple. Sometimes some call a mentee a protege. And sometimes in our languages, in our different languages, we have words that talk about the one who follows you. So in my language, we'll say umlandeli. And I think you can think about one in your language. What is a mentee? The one who follows you, the one who follows your footsteps, the one whom you guide, the one whom you prepare for the future. Maybe even prepare to take over from you. So there are two terms that are used sometimes interchangeably, and it's wrong to use them interchangeably, but sometimes they overlap because they are both about a person growing. But I will compare the two words, and that's mentoring and coaching. So there are similarities, but there are also differences. Mentoring focuses on the capability of the person and them achieving their potential. Coaching focuses entirely on skills and performance. So I will say, when you talk about coaching, think about a soccer coach. And when you talk about, when you are thinking about mentoring, think about your nursery school teacher. I often think about my nursery school teachers as what good mentors they were, as they taught me how to walk, how to write, how to emulate them, how to read like them. But a coach focuses on skills and performance. Do this, kick the ball like this, bend it like Beckham like this. And that's what a coach does. A mentor is concerned with tasks, with implications beyond task. So a mentor is concerned about how you got there, not just getting there. They're concerned about the behavior patterns that get you there. Coaching can say, run, do this, do that, so that you score. But mentoring is concerned about how did you get there and the journey to achieving, and is more holistic in that sense. Mentoring works best offline. I'm using these words because it's the words we tend to use, but mentoring works better if it's not by a line manager, but with somebody else who's not your line manager. Whereas with coaching, your line manager can be your coach because you're working towards a common goal and they can coach you. And in mentoring, the agenda is set by the mentee. I need help here. I need to get from point A to point B. And in coaching, the agenda is set by the coach. That is why when a soccer team doesn't perform, they fire the coach, not the team, because the coach is set on the agenda of winning the match. And a little bit more about mentoring and coaching. Mentoring emphasizes feedback and reflection by both. Coaching emphasizes feedback from the coach to the learner. I told you to do this in order to win the match. Mentoring is usually a long-time relationship, but coaching is often short-term. Being coached to be a vice principal, being coached to be a VC, being coached to be a public speaker, being coached to win a team. So it's usually short-term and aimed towards a specific goal. In mentoring, conversation, feedback, discussion is about implicit and intuitive, sometimes say softer things. But in coaching, yes, you get feedback, but it is about very explicit things. Kick the ball like this. If you're going to speak in public, speak like this. It is about getting your skill to perform a task. And the following few slides are really infographics with what are the things that go into coaching, development, advice sharing, training, skills development in order that you succeed. Mentoring, as you can see, some things overlap, but it is about support and giving you direction. And sometimes it includes coaching, but it is a softer activity that gives you support, that keeps you motivated, that gives you advice in order that you as the mentor reaches your success. And the mentor defines when they've reached their success, not the coach. So I said that there are sometimes overlaps in the two, but the critical element is that with coaching, the coach says we have arrived. In mentoring, the mentee says, I've gotten to my desired goal. And so mentoring is about mentee, coaching is led and defined by the coach. So what are the characteristics of a mentor? If you're going to pick a mentor, or if you're going to volunteer to be a mentor, what are some of the characteristics that that a mentor should have? And in this slide, I just give an overview and we'll unpack this very quickly. A mentor should be inspiring to many people and helping them to do what they enjoy doing the most. So as a mentor is somebody you can't wait to meet with them so that they inspire you, they pour off themselves to you. Your meetings with them inspire you. When you go from there, you feel bigger and ready to take on bigger challenges. They are a role model, they are a trainer, they are a companion through the forest, they are support, but they are also resourceful. And allow me just to go very quickly through these following slides on what it means to be a companion, what it means to be a resource, what it means to be a trainer. And I'm going through this because many times people volunteer to be mentors, but they become bullies and coaches in the process instead of being mentors that are empathetic, that are companions. So a mentor offers companionship, enjoy sharing the interests and experiences of the mentee, spend time talking and listening to the mentee. The mentee talks the most about what they want to be when they grow up, and you assist them in walking that journey of what they want to be when they grow up. You offer them support that boosts their self-esteem, to say, you're doing great, you're gonna get there. Maybe tweak this a little bit here. You're doing so good, you are growing, you're better than last time. Boost their self-confidence. A mentor gives support to the mentee, listen to their ideas and their concerns, and help them to go away from the meeting feeling bigger, knowing that somebody believes in them, believes in their abilities, and trust that they're going to get to where they want to get. A mentor provides support and opportunities. Oh, did you see this conference? They don't compete with the mentor. Did you see this conference? There's a call for papers. Have you considered writing? You are a resource. You encourage the mentee to see other opportunities you encourage the mentee to approach other people. A mentee is not your person. The mentee is a human being who wants to learn. And if you can point them towards other people, that will help them to grow. A mentor is one who is so secure, they are not afraid to recommend other people to train you. I think if you're the sort of person who says, when you're talking to me, you can't talk to anybody else, you're not ready to be a mentor. A mentor is one that says, I'm really happy with you to go and talk to so and so. They've published in that paper, in that document, in that journal. I'm happy for you to go and talk to so and so. They know more about India than I do. I'm happy for you to go and talk to so and so about public speaking because they've presented more than I have. So you are a resource, you suggest resources to them, you lead them into your network, and you help them to be better and be safe and secure with them doing better than you. So what is in a mentee and mentor roles, and what are the responsibilities? So as a mentor, as a mentee, as your disciple, one needs to understand that they have entered into a partnership with the mentor. In some organizations, and in one organization where I worked at UNISA, it was a formal relationship, but we actually got into contracts in which the mentor and the mentee signed an agreement that I'm going to be your mentor, I'm going to be your mentee. And they worked together on a series of things together. Another important element is to keep in mind that this relationship needs to be supported and nurtured from both sides. The mentor must be available for the mentee must be available to the mentor, because both of the people need to be available for the relationship to work. The mentor is available to assist the mentee, but the mentee should not expect that the mentor will be their guardian angel, that they will take care of him or her or stop trouble when they come. But rather, the mentor is the person who will be there to put their hand out if you're sinking and say, come, I'll help you out. They will not stop you from sinking. They will not prevent you from sinking if you don't learn to swim, but they will put their hand out and say, I'll help you out. So a mentor is not a guardian angel. A mentor is one who helps you not to sink by giving you their hand, which also means there's an option as a mentee. You can refuse to hold their hand back, but the result is that you're going to sink. So the roles and the responsibility are that the relationship must be mutually beneficial, and that one is very clear on what their role is, and that the mentee is very clear on what the role and the responsibility of the mentor is. So the mentor is there not as a friend, but rather a guide to help you to achieve your goals and your ends. And the mentee also has to be committed and participatory. I have a mentor who's been my mentor for many, many years. And she, up to now, I call her and talk to her when I need to clear my mind about something. And it is not a formal relationship. It was initially. It is not a formal relationship, but it has become a secure space for both of us. That when I want to check out my ideas, I'm secure enough to call on this person, to ask for ideas, to have them listen to me, clear my thoughts before I take on a major decision. And because the relationship of mentoring is about the growth of the mentee, about personal development, the process of giving feedback and receiving feedback is really crucial. And that's why I've included it in this series of slides. Mentees want to receive honest feedback that's going to help them to grow. They don't want just to hear that your paper is nice because you're afraid of hurting them. But the mentee needs to hear that, you know, this first paragraph here was really good. Have you considered adding a theoretical framework into here? Have you considered looking at the African ways of knowing? Have you considered this? They are keen on hearing feedback. Equally, the mentee must be comfortable enough to be able to say to their mentor, the way you advised me to do it last time did not really help me. Is there another way I could try? Or when you raise your voice like that, I feel afraid. Perhaps when you speak with me, you shouldn't take your glasses off. But that the mentee is able to give feedback to the mentor in a way that it helps the mentor to mentor better. It is important that the ongoing feedback in the relationship grows the mentee, but enables the mentor to mentor better. And I cannot overemphasize this, that the timeliness of the feedback cannot be overemphasized. In order for the relationship to be helped, it doesn't help to say, oh, 2 years ago, you said A, B, C, D to me. The person doesn't remember what they said 2 years ago. But if you can do it to say, you know, yesterday or last week or earlier on this morning, while it is still fresh in both minds, this didn't work or this worked well. It helps you to change or to enhance the area that you're speaking to. I keep using the example of publication of a paper. My mentor once said to me, and I use a different example now. My mentor once said to me, Buhle, when you become university librarian, you're going to have to be organized and give yourself time between an event, planning and instituting an event. And I didn't understand what they meant then because I was young and full of energy. When I wanted to do something, I did it there and then. So when I wanted to do a book display, I did it right there and then. When I wanted to teach something to first years, I wanted to go and do it right away. And she taught me the value of thinking through an idea, planning and implementing. And she gave me that feedback just as I was talking about going to implement something. And I've learned that right now in my life, I don't do something without planning because I got timely feedback on that. And it really touched my subconscious. It's important that when you're giving that feedback, that the advice and the guidance is given to benefit and solve the issue at hand. It's not to bring down the mentee. It's not to make the person feel bad, but that you are rising above the noise and you're giving advice that addresses an issue. So this is where you separate the issue from the tissues, that you focus on the thing that guides, you focus on the matter that will help to be beneficial and that will solve the issue. The communication style of the mentor, especially because they are strong and powerful and knowledgeable, should be positive or experienced positively by the mentee. It doesn't help for me to say to my mentee, hey, you, Richard, what do you think you are doing? You think now that you've got a master's, you are clever. That doesn't help Richard to grow better. But if I say, Richard, now that you've got a master's, you've got opportunity to do a few more things with it. You can publish a paper, you can apply for higher positions, you can, but remember to remain humble because you are still Richard, whether you've got a master's or you've got a PhD, you are still Richard and a human being. A mentor's communication should be a style that leaves the mentee feeling positive about the experience. It is about the mentee feeling good. The feedback from the mentee to the mentor is equally important because the mentee must state what makes them feel uncomfortable. The mentee should state what help they need. The mentee, remember, sets the agenda. So the feedback to the mentee must strengthen the mentee, must indicate which areas they should grow or develop or enhance, must help them to eliminate harmful behaviors, must help the mentee feel better about other people. So how you tell the mentee that they shouldn't be arriving late should not come out like this. Hey, you, Richard, you arrive late at work every day. Who do you think you are? But rather, Richard, I've observed that you come in late. It does not help you as a leader to arrive at work late because you'll be perceived as sloppy. So you help the mentee to feel bigger than just the issue at hand and enable them to grow inside. So as I draw to a close, let me talk about the do's and the don'ts in a mentoring relationship. The don'ts to the mentee. The mentee should not be passive. They are not a passive recipient of training, but they are an active participation in their own growth. Do not wait for the mentor to say, do this, do that, and do the other. Look for opportunity, ask for guidance, step out. Don't be late or disorganized. If it is a formal mentoring process, you will have meeting times set out, you'll have deadlines set out, you will have items to read in preparation. So organize yourself in good time to be there. Make sure your technology works. Make sure that things work from your end. Don't just stay in your comfort zone as a mentee. Stretch yourself a little bit. Stretch yourself a little bit to learn new things. But, and this is very important, when a mentoring relationship has ceased to work, end it. The value of formal mentoring processes is that they've got time. I'm going to be your mentor for a year. We will review at the end of the year whether we still need each other. The value, well, I'm going to be your mentor for 2 years. But you as the mentee should be able, if a relationship doesn't help you to grow, to be able to say, thank you very much for our walk this far. This is where I need to exit. Or thank you very much for all that I've learned. I've learned all I need to learn about publishing a paper. I will no longer be sounding my ideas out on. You should be able to exit in a relationship. Don't stay in it any longer than you need to. But the do's in a mentee, from the mentee, is that take the initiative. Go in there with your energy. Look for opportunities to learn from your mentor. Oh, I heard you say you're going to present at this. Can I come and listen? I heard you saying you were reviewing a book. Can I see what you have written on that book? You know, seize the opportunities. Be respectful of the mentor's time. If your meetings are for an hour, be there for only the hour. Don't linger on for the whole afternoon or start talking about other things that will take longer than an hour. Communicate the agenda and goals before the meeting so that the mentor can also be prepared. After your meetings, practice self-reflection. What did the mentor say? Okay, does that really help me? Okay, so how can I do that better? Self-reflection, internalize your conversation, take time to take in the things that they've said, and also look at your own values and clarify your values so that things can fit inside you much better. On that note then, on the dues for the mentor, I'd like to bring this to an end. And thank you very much for your attention. Can now turn this over to Richard and Erin.
Thank you very much, Dr. Buhle. For those who just joined, I will say that Dr. Buhle is a very seasoned librarian. She has worked with NUST, that is Zimbabwe, in the university in Zimbabwe. He was the university librarian. She moved to University of South Africa, UNISA, changed the whole place. And then she retired, then moved to the University of Lesotho. She was also with AFLIA. She's the main brain behind the AFLIA here, and Mrs. Hassan. They're very good friends. And you can see the way she's talking, you can see that when she attends conference, definitely when she's talking, you will definitely keep quiet and listen. Dr. Buhle, thank you very, very much. God bless you for such an insightful presentation. Colleagues, at this stage, if you have any question, kindly put it in the chat, or I don't know whether we can allow them to talk in case they want to express themselves.
Yeah, perhaps if you raise your hand or indicate in the chat that you want to talk, and then we'll unmute you. Because maybe asking a question in words would be easier than typing. Evelyn, thanks. I'm giving you speaking privileges.
I think Evelyn can talk now. Okay, whilst Evelyn is preparing to talk, maybe I have a question here. So, Dr. Buhle, please, at what stage would you say that you are okay with the mentoring?
Hello.
Yes, that's a very interesting question, Richard. At what stage can you say you are done? It's when you feel you are ready for, you've accomplished all that you wanted to do with the mentor. So sometimes you may get into a relation. When you get into a mentoring relationship, you must be clear about what you want to achieve. So from my mentor, I wanted to learn about what goes into being a university librarian and being a leader in the profession. And that really meant that there are times when I'm not going to need her. So when I became university librarian, she gave me a set, almost a basket of things that I should note when I become university librarian. And I've always treasured that in my heart, things that she said. So once I'd become university librarian, I no longer needed to talk to her about how to become a university librarian.
Thank you very much.
It's really being clear about what is it that I wanted in this mentoring relationship. That's why time is important in getting into a formal mentoring relationship, that you are learning something from this person. And then when you walk away from it, both of you are happy to let each other fly and go on to other things.
Thank you very much, Dr. Buhle. But I'm very interested in this area where you said you wanted to become a university librarian, and therefore you needed someone to guide you to become a university librarian. Now, you may have a situation where you've not thought of becoming a university librarian, but all of a sudden the position fell on your lap. How do you, and so at that point, would you have to, at that stage where you are at the top level, will you need a mentor?
I think we always need mentors. It could be that you need someone to help you. Let me say this. It may be that when you get into that position, you need a coach. I have a colleague who became Deputy Vice Chancellor almost all of a sudden. And because she did not have the skills for it, she got a coach. And so there are times where it's better to get a coach because you need someone to help you with skills to get the job of being DVC done. And she got a coach to help her with planning, budgeting, those very short-term things that she needed to succeed. And she needed a coach. And she got a coach. And once she was done with that, because she had the sort of personality that that sometimes needs help, like we all do, she then looked for a mentor from her. She looked for somebody from her church to be a mentor to help her develop soft skills of leadership. So you have to work out when do you need a coach, when do you need a mentor?
Right, that's clear now. Thank you very much. Evelyn, the floor is yours, please.
Yeah, thank you very much, and good morning to everyone. And thank you, ma'am, for this great presentation. My question is, you talked about what a mentorship is. There's this scenario that I want to talk about, and I want to know whether that is also mentorship. You have a situation where a mentor will identify someone and will want the person to be helping him like an apprentice. Do this for me, go here for me, type this for me, collect this data for me. And to the person, to the mentor, he's helping you. He's taking that person as a mentee and thinks that this is mentorship, is helping you. But you, the mentor, you, the mentee, you have your own needs, that may not be what this person thinks he's giving you. And so you'll be following and be doing chores for him, but you are not benefiting anything at all. But the person thinks that he's helping you and you are learning from whatever that he's telling you to do. You are learning skills or you are learning abilities from that, but that may not be the case. And so I've been wondering whether mentors have any benefit at all in mentorship. What we talked about as being mentorship doesn't look like the mentor has any benefit at all. But what I have just cited, the scenario I've just cited, is more like the person has identified somebody to use, to achieve some task that he's embarking on. And so in that case, that person had, but yet the person will think that that is also mentorship. What do you say about that, ma'am?
That's a very interesting question, Wilma. Thank you very much. So I hope I said this in the presentation, that the importance of a mentoring relationship is that it has a start time, it has agreed set of goals, and it has an exit time. What I think is a challenge in most of our cultures is that there's only one word for both mentoring and coaching. And so it's often difficult to know the difference. When am I being coached? When am I being bullied? When am I being mentored? Because the word that is used is one word. I cannot say, in the real sense of the word, Evelyn, I cannot say I'm your mentor when you are not benefiting from it. A mentoring relationship is about the mentee growing. We are in it in order that you may grow. And we need to agree what is it that you need to grow? I am not sure whether doing my tasks helps you to grow. And that's why feedback is important, to say, this that you're asking me to do helps me to grow. This that you're asking me to do does not help you to grow. The challenge that some of us have as leaders is that we impose ourselves on people, and then we say we are mentoring them. And what you are really doing is exercising power over them, but not mentoring them. In a mentoring relationship, it is agreed that I am going to pour myself into you in order to help you to grow. It is not about me dictating to you, do this for me, do that for me, because if you do this and do that for me, you are going to grow. So sometimes there are cultural differences in understanding what is mentoring. And in some languages like mine, it's the same word that I use for mentoring, discipleship, coaching. It's the same word. Yeah. I don't know whether I've answered you, Evelyn.
Yes, you have. Thank you very much.
But I would say that if you feel uncomfortable with a mentoring relationship, a healthy with your mentor, a healthy mentoring relationship listens to you when you say, I am not comfortable doing this, or this is not helping me to grow. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Mr. Mwafu, Eric, I think you can ask your question. We saw your hand up.
You have to unmute yourself, Eric.
Yeah, good morning. My name is Eric from the University of Ghana. I dropped my hand because a bit of what I wanted to ask had been addressed from Evelyn's question. But my challenge is that most often we listen to these lectures. I call myself as an observer. You realize that, especially in Africa, you follow people who probably teach customer service, and yet when you approach them, you realize that there's a vast difference between what they teach and the relationship they have with people. So I think that as we do this, most often when it comes to senior management training, we should also involve some of this because there's the presupposition that senior management are okay, they've had enough training, and yet as a librarian, I work with students, work with staff, and most often the complaints that come, students approach their supervisors, they're very scared. You will see that some complaints that a student may give to a librarian, you ask them to go and tell the supervisor, they say they can't because they feel the relationship is kind of hostile. So my suggestion is that as we pass this information across, mostly on this platform, I can bet that most of the people online may be people lower than a librarian, vice librarian, and all that. So I think that when the senior officers begin to also benefit in this training and also practice them, it will help a lot, because a lot more of African students all over suffer. When you go for international workshop, the complaints are basically the same. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Eric.
May I respond to what Eric is saying?
Thank you.
And really his comments are related to customer service, but not related to mentoring. But where I want to agree with him is that senior management does need training. I went through a through a mentorship training on how to be a mentor. Because while I had walked through some steps, I really didn't know how to be a mentor. And that training helped me. So there are things that we need training in, even as senior management, and mentoring is one of them. How to give feedback, how to not use the mentorship process to be lord over somebody, but how to help the other person grow because of what you have learned. And for me, one of the biggest things is really getting over the cultural differences in the mentoring process so that we agree that mentoring is about helping the mentee to develop and to reach their goals. And my role as a mentor is to assist them to get there.
Thank you very much, Dr. Buhle. There's a question here where it says that, how do you, as a mentor, how do you handle disappointment? Because some people on this platform may be mentoring people, or they may be mentees, or they are mentors, or they are mentees. So how do you handle disappointment where you think you are doing your best for your mentee, but I mean, one or two things brought in disappointment? That's one question. Then I have a question here where it says that you are in an organization where your head is not bothered about the issue of mentoring. Who initiates that mentoring strategy, mentoring processes? Because you can see in the next few years, you see the top people will be away. Now, how, and you feel worried, who initiates that strategy or that, I believe you understand what I'm trying to say. Thank you very much.
Sorry, what was the first one, Richard?
The first one is, how do you handle disappointment as a mentor from your mentee? Where you are doing your best, you want to help, but here's the case, the mentee is all over, I mean, or he has said something that you didn't mean that way, and it's like, he's trying to tarnish your image and all those things. And you feel very disappointed. How do you handle such a disappointment?
Yeah, that's a very good one, Richard. You go and have a good cry in the bathroom, and then come out and face the issue. You may recall that in my slides I said honest and candid feedback about the issue, not about the person. So sometimes when we really focus on what is the issue here, Richard, the issue is that in order to write your paper for it to be accepted for publication, you must be clear to have the image, put the introduction, include a theoretical framework, include the research problem, include the findings, and then the discussion. The way you've put it here, Richard, you've left out key elements. Your discussion comes before you have put your theoretical framework. I'm helping you to write the paper. But sometimes you may feel as if I am cutting you down. It is very important that we give feedback in a way that builds the mentee up. And as mentor, if the mentee doesn't follow your advice and you are disappointed, you let them, the example I used about the pool, you let them almost drown, and then put your hand out and say, please come, I will help you to learn to swim so that you don't drown. Can I give you an example from my own life? I was preparing to write a paper, to deliver a paper at EIFL back in 1996, and I was young and enthusiastic, but this was prestigious because I had won a competition to go and present a paper. And my topic was virtual libraries in Africa, and it was about the potential of virtual libraries in Africa. It was still a new topic. I wrote the paper, and I thought it was good. I gave it to my mentor to read, who was already high up in the EIFL structures by then. She read the paper, and 2 days later, she called me and said, this paper won't cut it. The word she used to me was, EIFL is the cream of the crop, is the brains of librarianship, and you cannot go and give a wishy-washy paper. I took the feedback, and of course she had written all over my paper. I took the feedback, I went to the bathroom, I cried because I felt that she had been cruel in her comments. When I finished crying, I went to my friend and said to my friend, look at this paper. And these are the comments from my mentor. My friend looked at it and he said, yeah, we can improve this. We can improve this. Let's call so and so. They might have a specific example from here. They might have a specific example from here. They might say this. I did that paper. I worked on all the comments my mentee had said that were cruel, that were painful, but they were facts. The day I was presenting the paper, and those days at EIFL, there was a section called Contributed Paper Session, and it was chaired by the president of EIFL. And somebody from Africa presented, someone from South America presented, someone from North America presented. So there were about 6 presentations from different parts of the world. My mentor came in, she sat in front, but she came to me and said, good luck with your presentation. Do you know what happened to my knees? They almost melted under my legs. But when I finished making my presentation and the session closed, my mentor was the first one to come and say, well done, you made me proud. And her associates were proud of her, saying your protege did a great job. And it was a very good paper that got translated to many languages. But if I had just focused on that, my mentor has been cruel to me in her comments, I could have lost an opportunity to do something good. So take the feedback, separate the truth, separate the noise from it, and focus on the issues, not the tissues. Focus on the thing that helps you to grow, not the things that may feel painful. I'm not sure if I'm making sense, Richard.
Perfect, perfect. I mean, as we're talking from your experience, I mean, more like if I'm a white person, you see me blushing. In fact, I'm very, very touched, honestly. More especially where your mentor kept encouraging you. I'm so impressed. Yeah. Thank you very much. I think the second question is I don't know whether you got it. Where
who initiates the mentoring?
Exactly.
Who initiates it?
Yes, please.
This is a difficult one. In many of our situations, there isn't a formal mentoring program. I must say, I want to congratulate CARLIGH that you want to start a formal mentoring program. My suggestion would be, you might have to train those who want to be mentors so they understand what their role is, and train those who want to be mentees so they understand on what their role is, so that it's not clouded, particularly, but I don't know about your language, but in my language, the two things run into each other, and sometimes people end up with a role conflict. So I congratulate you on doing this. In the real sense of mentorship, it is the mentee who goes to look for the water to drink. It is the mentee who says, I need help with this. And the mentee often chooses the mentor because that is what they want to drink from. And so an example that a good friend of mine in East Africa says that she could not find anybody in the university system to mentor her in areas related to ICT. And she found that help outside the university system. So it may be that the people in the university are not giving you an opportunity to go to leadership training, but they are retiring in 5 years, and yet you want to prepare yourself to be a leader. Find opportunity within your country where you can attend short leadership training. Find a mentor from your church, from Rotary, from your women's organization, from your men's organization, from your village. Somebody can mentor you in the things that will help you to grow in your profession, to grow into leadership, to grow into a better person. It is the mentee that seeks mentoring and identifies their mentor. Don't expect it from the organization to say, you come and be mentored. In the real sense of the word, that then becomes not mentoring, but perhaps some other training that is not mentoring. In a proper mentoring process, the mentee takes the first step and looks for a mentor.
Thank you very much. Just to follow up on Eric, please, let me look at the last one and then you come in. You know, as you said from the presentation, it's all about the success of the mentee. But in organizations where you don't want the organization to cramp down or just collapse or, maintain standards, normally you try as much as possible to coach people, to mentor people to take up positions. But you may be an organization where people are there and they cannot be bothered. They see that, no, people will be living for pension, the leadership, the top will be vacant. But you can see that they are not preparing themselves to take those positions. How do you, I don't know how to state, but how do you encourage people to move up? Aspire to get to fill such position? Because honestly speaking, sometimes you need someone to tell you that, look, do this and do that and do that, get ready before you can, your eyes will open for you to see that, yes, that's true. But many times you see people just waiting and they are just there until the thing dawns on them or it falls on them, where then they start messing up. And most of the time they mess up. So I don't know how we can handle such a,
yeah.
I'm a bit worried about such a situation, please.
Yeah. I hear you, Richard. In that case, you don't call on mentorship. In that case, you call on another leadership skill, which is about leading change. You apply leadership of change and you use the principles for leading change and you apply those. We'll be grateful for COVID one day because there are so many webinars and so many free resources that you can encourage people to go to in order for their light bulbs to come on. Sometimes people are in situations where they feel there's nothing I can do. They're now asking that only those with PhDs become university librarian. I will never become university librarian because I don't have a PhD. But you can help that person find another area of development. If research is not your area of development, maybe cataloging is your area of development. How can you become an expert? We are now in an area of RDA. Our colleagues in cataloging, can you expose yourself to RDA? What are the issues at RDA? Can you become a trainer so that you grow in the area of your interest? Not everybody is going to be university librarian. Not everybody needs to become university librarian, but they can grow as a professional, as a subject librarian and be an expert subject librarian or an expert cataloger, participate internationally as an expert cataloger. So I would say, use the leadership of change and find ways of using the set of tools in leadership of change to encourage people to grow. Mentoring can be used, but there are other tools you'd look to use.
Thank you so much, Dr. Buhle. Eric, please, you can move, please. You can go ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity. I'd like to thank you for making the line clear about picking the good ones from the issue and leaving the tissue. But what I've realized, and this fits into what Richard was saying in Africa, is that, like you said, in picking out, we know we have character traits, different character traits. There are some people who may be able to pick themselves up, and there are some who may not be able to get out of that harsh talk, that harsh critique. So my question is, Must it be that way? Is a harsh critique a strategy to get people to be strong? Or is it just some kind of bad attitude that some leaders have? Because in Ghana, I can say, and Richard will bear me out, there are instances where you hear a senior officer say, do you know what we have to go through to get to where we are? And when you have such, statements, I don't see how such a person will even be ready to mentor somebody because they think that they went through some hardship, they were bullied, they were spoken to anyhow, and they had to fight their way through. So they get there and they don't see the essence to, be like the way you presented, how to get people on board, how to identify, how to mentor and do all that. So what they do is do their job. So I don't know how, but I think that this kind of training, as I said earlier, should also go to senior management. In Ghana, especially, I think CARLIGH should do that because to help reform the top management. And as Richard said in his last question, if that is done, then the person at the helm of affairs knows that, no, okay, I know this guy is good in cataloging. I know this person who is this. Let's do this for them. Let's help them attend this training. Let's help them do this. Then let's take individuals like Richard himself, who has had opportunity to be in this training and other things, to pick themselves up and move. A lot more of the people will hardly be able to get out of it. So I think it's a real problem, especially in Africa. Thank you. Yeah.
I think Eric made a comment, and all I can say is that mentorship is about the mentee. And in order to, if you are looking at making change, you have to use other strategies to effect change. Mentorship may not be the only one to use. As I also said, that sometimes even people in senior management need training in order to understand how to give feedback that helps the mentee to grow. Sometimes, harsh is a relative word. I could have said my boss's feedback on my article was harsh, and I could have chosen to go and cry and never do anything about my paper. But I focused on that. IFLA has accepted my abstract. I must now go and present this paper. Let me find ways of making this paper good. So it's separating really what is the issue from what is an attitude problem, and go with the issue. There's a saying, and I'm busy writing a paper on it. There's a saying that says, and this is so important for mentees, those who must go and fetch water must not listen to the noise of frogs. So you know that in the villages, we fetch water from the river. And sometimes as you approach the river, there's a lot of noise from frogs. If you're afraid of the noise of the frogs, you always come back home without water. But if your focus is to move forward, you will not be hindered by a boss who does not give you opportunity. You will find other places to find opportunity to grow. Because as a mentee, as a young person, as a professional, it is your own responsibility to grow. So you will look for the opportunity. If I leave nothing else with you today, I will leave this with you. You as a mentee, you as a professional, find the opportunity to grow. And those who must go and fetch water must not listen to the frogs.
Thank you very much. This is very deep. And in fact, I've taken it down. Yeah, because sometimes you shine. Sometimes some bosses may feel like they are a threat to them, or they are competing and all that, So I think it's a very good statement that you made. Mr. George Yamson, do you have any question? I think your hand was up, George.
Yeah, Eric's hand is still up. I don't know whether he has another question.
George Yamson, would you want to ask a question? Right, it looks like he's not. But colleagues, the time is nearly 11:20. We've done quite a lot, and Dr. Buhle Mbambo-Thata has done quite a lot. And I want to assure you that, look, it's not like what she said is theory. she walks the talk. And since I met her, I can see sometimes at meetings and at places, heated argument, she'll just come in and then cool down tempers, just easily with her cool talk, like the way you see her talking. And the whole place become very quiet, and then people accept whatever is going on, and then we move on. So and I was very happy when they said that you need to give, you need to have to give. If you don't have it, you cannot give it. And she's the one who has given us something good. All the things that she has said, I tell you, she has it, and I'm very, very happy. So at this time, I don't know, nobody has got a question, and all I will say is that a very big thank you to Dr. Buhle Mbambo-Thata for taking time off to do. I know you're a very busy person internationally, all over in the profession. Thank you so very much for accepting. I didn't know how to do it, tell you, so I used Irina to tell you to please see how to help. Irina, thank you so much for always your support in helping CARLIGH to go on with such trainings. So Irina, do you have anything to say? Then
Thank you so much, Buhle and Richard, and dear CARLIGH colleagues. Thank you, Evelyn and Eric, for your questions, contributions. That was very deep and very useful. Thank you so much, and I'm glad we recorded it. I'm sure I will listen again. Thank you so much, and yeah, have a wonderful day, and see you at
Thank you.
our next webinars.
thank you so much. God bless you all. So take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Dr.